Hey guys, it's Yessie. Welcome back to my channel. So today I am actually going to be giving you the story of my labor and delivery. So basically my experience. It's been over a month since I've given birth. My daughter was born on April 4th, 2021, obviously, and that was on Easter, which is a blessing. Today is May 16th, so it's a little over a month that I'm making this video. I definitely wanted to get this video out there because I did go through something pretty traumatic, and I want to kind of raise awareness around the subject because I feel like this can happen to any woman out there, and you just have to be prepared for like anything, to be honest. So I'm gonna start off from the very beginning. But before we get into all of that, I'm a blonde again. It's not the same kind of blonde I used to have, but this one is, a different kind, and I actually really like it. My mom did my hair right when the 40 days were over, like after me giving birth. You're not supposed to like do certain things, and I got to dye my hair once those 40 days were over. And also, you guys probably see the quality being a little different right now. That's because my parents bought me this amazing Sony camera for me to do my videos. I've been wanting a camera for so long, and this one is just amazing quality. I didn't even know about this one. This one is specifically for content creators, so I'm so thankful that they bought it for me. And yeah, I'm going to be filming on both, like the Canon and this one. This one is just more convenient to take around if I want to vlog, but I'm still going to record with this one a lot because I really like the quality of it. But I'm not going to abandon my Canon. Okay, so if you're interested in knowing my whole experience, then definitely keep on watching. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have kept up with like pretty much, you don't have to keep up with all of them, because I think I have said various times, like in each one, that I was going to get a C-section. I had a scheduled C-section for April 6th, which landed on a Tuesday. So I'm gonna start off with saying like the reason why I wanted a C-section. So the reason that I wanted a C-section, just in case you didn't know already from my previous videos, is because I did not want to experience the pain of labor. I didn't want to go through contractions. I wanted to just get the baby out from my stomach, even though I knew I was going to be in pain after the surgery, of course, and it would take time to heal. I was willing to deal with that. So that's why I decided to go with a C-section. So the thing is, since I had the scheduled C-section April 6th, it was on a Friday where I began to get contractions. So my day was going pretty normal. I went to get my lashes done, to get prepared for for Tuesday. And then I had an appointment later on with my OB. So I went there. And then when I came back from the OB, that's when I started experiencing these contractions. I wasn't sure if they were contractions or just Braxton Hicks, but they felt very different this time, like literally a lot more painful. But it was starting very slow, so it was something that I could handle. I just needed to lay down. Like I would still like moan, because I was in pain, but it was nothing out of this world. Whew, I didn't know what was coming for me, girl, because that night the pain got so much worse and I felt like I just couldn't handle it anymore. My parents were in the living room with me, and we ended up downloading an app. My mom got it on her phone too, so she could keep track whenever I was getting contractions. I got it on my phone. I think it's literally called just contractions, and it lets you not record. It lets you like put down whenever you experience a contraction, how long it lasted, and was it severe or whatever. Like, you have to pay a certain amount if you want to like include how you felt. So I did, but it's really not necessary. You just need to like put it down and then see how many minutes apart your contractions were. So they started off being like maybe they were very irregular. Like one would be 10 minutes apart, the other one 6 minutes apart, the other one 9 minutes apart. Like it was just all over the place. The other one 15 minutes apart. So my mom was like, I don't think like you're ready to go to the hospital yet, but I'm gonna make sure and I'm gonna call the hospital to see when is it exactly that we should take you. This was all happening like maybe like I want to say 12 in the morning already. So going into Saturday already. So my mom ended up calling the hospital, and the lady ended up telling her that once I started experiencing contractions like every 5 minutes, and it had to be very consistent, not once 5 minutes and then 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like just back and no, it has to be literally every 5 minutes, every contraction. So she was like, okay. She told me, and then from that night, it just started getting worse. Like it just kept getting worse basically. So my contractions ended up being every 5 minutes apart. And that's when I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to go to the hospital. So it was already like, I didn't sleep that entire night. Let me just say that I did not sleep. My mom told me to try to sleep, but she understands the pain. Like, she knows, she's been through this, obviously. So she knew that, you know, I wouldn't be able to sleep. So I stood up the entire night. I think like at 7 in the morning, I started getting ready. My dad is like, let's go. Tell your boyfriend to come and stuff, that you're like ready to go to the hospital. So I ended up calling Scotty. Well, I ended up texting Scotty, and I told him overnight though. I told him the previous night that I was already going through contractions. So he already knew he had to be there. We ended up leaving my house like at 8 something while I waited for him, and then we went straight to the hospital. So once we got to the hospital, we went through the main entrance, and my dad didn't know that we had to go through the emergency. So like they took us all around. I went with him, with Scotty, and my parents were like just waiting in the car. And then they came back like through the emergency to make sure that I was being seen and like helped. So we checked in and everything. I was not in the mood. My dad literally had to, you know, pull out a wheelchair to drag me inside because I couldn't walk. It was really bad at this point, and I just couldn't take it. I've never experienced pain like this in my whole life. This is my first child, so you know I was freaking the hell out, and it was something that I wanted to avoid, but obviously it happened. So once I was in the emergency room, my parents like said goodbye to me and stuff and good luck. Like they didn't know if I was gonna stay or not. So I went in with Scotty, and then they took me into this little room. A nurse picked me up and took me into this little room, and this other nurse told me, okay, go inside there. And she started just asking me like questions, like if I have any allergies and this and this and that. Meanwhile, I'm like in another planet, like not even worried about, like I'm obviously answering her questions, but I'm not even worried about her questions because I'm dying inside. But it's very visible in my face that I was like over it. So she made me lie down on the bed, and then she started like taking my I think she took my temperature. And then she said, since you're having contractions, we're going to put an IV to try to calm it down. I knew this IV wouldn't do anything. Like, I just had it in my head that it wasn't going to do anything, and it didn't do anything. If anything, it probably spread out the contractions a little longer. Since it was like every 5 minutes, it probably spread out to maybe every 8 minutes, every 9 minutes. You know what I mean? But it was still very painful. It did not help at all. So I was there literally crying with him inside the room. I was like, I can't do this. Like, I told the nurse, is there any way, since I had my scheduled C-section in this hospital? By the way, the hospital that I was in was New York Presbyterian in Flushing, Queens. Just so you guys know. So I told the nurse, is there anything that I can do? Like, could I get my C-section if I am, you know, I'm already going through the contractions, and I don't want to keep going through this. Like, it's too painful. I do not want to keep going through this. I just want my C-section. She was like, unfortunately, your OB, which is the lady that I see and the gynecologist I go to, she's not here. Like, she took a flight somewhere, so she's not here yet. So she won't be here by tomorrow night, and blah, blah, blah. So you would have to wait it out. But by then you'll probably be dilated, so might as well just give birth naturally. And I'm like, no, like, I do not want to keep experiencing this. Is there anything we can do, like someone else? She was like, no, the doctor that does the C-sections here is not going to perform a C-section on you because it's not needed for you. Like, she literally told me like that, it's not needed for you. You should just give birth naturally. And I thought that was so unprofessional, but at the time, I'm not really like thinking about that. I'm obviously getting mad, but I'm just stressing over my pain, and I just want to try my best to let her know that I should get a C-section, but she wasn't listening to me. She was like, nobody's going to perform a C-section here for you. Like, you would have to give birth naturally, and you would have to wait till you dilate 10 centimeters. So I was in a very bad mood. And I actually had 2 nurses that day, like that first time I went in. So the first one just took like my temperature and stuff like that and put the IV. And then the nurse that was telling me all of this, that I wouldn't get a C-section, she was a second nurse. So she was like, okay, let me check how many centimeters you're dilated. So imagine I'm going through these contraction pains, and then I do not expect this at all. Like, I know that they're going to check me down there, but I did not expect for that to hurt that bad when she checked me to see how many centimeters I was. It's like she pretty much shoved it in my vagina, and I wanted to grab her and just throw her off the balcony, or if the hospital even had a balcony. I just wanted, guys, it was so bad, okay? The pain was so bad. I literally screamed. Like, I screamed and started pouring. Like, I'm experiencing these contraction pains and then you're just gonna shove that thing in there. Like, I know it's your job, but maybe you could have done it a little nicer. I don't know. I don't know what it was, or maybe because I wasn't dilated enough, so that's why it hurt so bad. So she ended up telling me, you're only 3 centimeters dilated. And I'm just like, was it 3 or was it 1? It was 3. Wow, I don't remember. I think it was 3. If I'm not mistaken, she told me it was 3 centimeters dilated that I was. So that wasn't enough, obviously, to keep me in the hospital. I don't know if it was 1 to 3. Wow, I really forget things. It's crazy how you can, maybe it has to do with the trauma that I went through. But I did think she told me it was 3 centimeters dilated. If not, it was less than that. But either way, it was not enough to keep me in the hospital. So she's like, we're going to let you go. You're going to go home. You're probably going to experience the contractions worse. And you're going to have to come back to the hospital to see if you have reached or almost have reached 10 centimeters. So I was already in a bad mood. Like, damn, I wanted them to leave me. I wanted to get the C-section. I thought I was going to give birth anytime soon. I wouldn't have to experience this. But unfortunately, they sent me back home. So my parents waited for us like 2 hours. So I just went into the car. Obviously, I was crying in pain. And when I got back home, it got even worse. Now it was every 3 minutes that I was experiencing these contractions. So I kind of held off all the way to, like, I want to say 7 p.m., 6 to 7 p.m. And that's around the time that my dad took me back to the hospital. So we all went back. And the second time, it was another nurse there, and she was much, much nicer. She ended up checking me down there again, and she was very gentle, because I don't know if it's the way she shoved it in there or because I was already dilating a lot. That's why I probably didn't experience any pain when she checked. I think I'm forgetting something. I'm forgetting the fact that the second nurse, the first time, actually shoved that thing inside me twice. That's why I'm thinking it's 1 centimeter. Okay, so the first time that she checked me, like as soon as I got there, I was 1 centimeter dilated. And then when I was about to leave, I think she told me I was 3 centimeters dilated, which still wasn't enough. So I had that thing shoved in me 2 times, and I screamed both times. And she was just like very rude. She was kind of like, you should just give birth naturally. You shouldn't, like, she said something. She said, you're really a baby, something like that, because I was crying. Of course, I wasn't paying attention to what she was saying at the moment, but when I came back home and started like taking everything in, I'm like, wow, what a bitch. Like, she was actually kind of, you know, like judging me for the pain that I'm going through. So that's very unprofessional. Let me just start off with that. Okay, so the first time that I went to the hospital, she one of the nurses also took a rapid test, like a blood work test from me. So they took my blood, obviously, and that's going to be like a very important like factor into this whole video. So I just needed to like let you guys know that they took blood from me. So the second time that I went into the hospital, went back into the emergency with Scotty, and my parents waited outside, and this time the nurse was really gentle, or maybe it was because I was already more dilated down there, so it didn't hurt as much when she checked. She ended up telling me I was 5 centimeters dilated, so I would be able to stay in the hospital. So I told my parents, okay, you guys can leave, or I think he texted them, I don't know. But they ended up leaving, and we stayed in the hospital. So the lady's like, you might as well just give birth naturally, because you're already at 5 centimeters, and you've experienced all the pain already, and you can get an epidural, like, right now. You know, you can get an epidural, so you won't feel anything after that. You can just give birth, and that's it. You'll be good. You don't have to have a scar. You don't have to go through recovery, you know, the process of recovery, none of that. So I thought about it. I'm like, you're right. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give birth naturally. Since I've already experienced this whole pain, might as well just give birth naturally. I'm not gonna do double, you know, I'm gonna have double the pain, like the contraction pain and then the C-section pain after. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. So they put me into another room, like a regular room where they deliver the baby. I literally waited, I'm not even joking, maybe like 2.5 hours to get that epidural. So by then I was probably dilated like 7 centimeters. It was so freaking painful. I just couldn't sit still in that bed. They were putting so many things. Like, I just felt like I was suffocating in a way, like everything they were doing to me, the IV, and just asking all these questions, and I'm suffering with the pain, and they're not doing anything about it, and it's just like all over the place, you know what I mean? And then on top of that, I had to wait 2 hours, 2 to 2 hours and a half to get this epidural, which was freaking ridiculous. Like, I thought I was gonna go in the room, they were gonna settle me in, maybe 10-15 minutes, and I'll have it. No, I waited like 2 hours and a half, so I was suffering there a lot longer. So then came the time to finally get the epidural. I was really scared about this. My mom had told me that I needed to be very careful when they were putting the epidural. She personally never had an epidural, so she didn't know what that felt like, because she literally gave birth to us like with nothing, which I applaud her for. But I was not as strong as my mom, so I needed that epidural. I couldn't handle it anymore. Like, I was dying. I felt like I was dying. So once the doctor came to put in the epidural, he told me to sit still. He put like a pillow against a table, and I just kind of like leaned like that towards it and put my head down a little bit. And I just tried to concentrate and close my eyes, you know, and not really think about anything. That way I wouldn't move. He said if I moved, there could be a chance I'll get a really, really bad headache, or in like worst case scenarios, which is kind of rare, but I've heard about it. That's when my mom told me to be careful. You can get paralyzed if you move. They can like hit a nerve or something. So I was like, oh, hell no. Like, I'm going to make sure that I'm still. And I was scared that I'll be very ticklish through my back. So I was afraid that I would move. But he ended up like touching my back and asking me if like that felt uncomfortable, I guess, to see if I was ticklish. And I was like, no, that's fine. So once he started putting the epidural, it didn't hurt at all. They obviously numbed me for that. And I kind of just felt really weird. Like, I felt like a liquid going down my spine, if that makes sense. So it felt really weird. It literally took like a total of 5 minutes. It was really fast. And then it took maybe another 5 minutes for me to actually start to not feel anything. So after 5 minutes, I was completely fine. I was laying down all happy, excited, and I told my mom, like, I got the epidural. I feel so much better now. I'm going to give birth naturally. I'm scared about that, but I'm going to do it. Everything's going great. Happy. Cool. I was talking to him. We were watching TV. I was, like, really calm. And then something happened that we did not expect to happen. So, 4 nurses come in the room, and there's this one nurse, and she's like, do you have these medical records? Like, do you have, no, she actually came in the room and asked me, because you know how my OB used to always send, I mentioned this in a previous video, if you did watch it. That's why it's good to watch all my videos, so you're like, you know what's happening. But she came in and asked me, like, when was the last time I got my blood work? And again, my head was all over the place, so like I don't remember everything. And then she's like, is it this place that you went to, or is it this place that you went to? Because my OB would send me to different labs to get work done, like blood work. So I think it was something bio something, and the other one like LabCorp, something like that. So I said one of those names. I think I said bio something. And then she said, because I said I think bio, and she's like, you think? Like literally like that, you think? Because we need to know, you know, I need to go and make sure that I have your blood results from recent blood work and stuff like that. Again, I did not pay attention to that, but he did. He got really mad that she like spoke to me that way, but he didn't say anything. He didn't want to start anything. So we kind of just, you know, we didn't really like, when you're in that moment, you don't think about little things like that. But when you come home, you're like, fuck, what a bitch. So that was very unprofessional. It was a different nurse. But then she got nicer. She's like, okay, I'm going to try to go look for your medical records online and get in contact with your OB, since you can't find it. But for now, if you can somehow find a way to like log into that lab, to get those lab results. I ended up trying to do that. I could not log in. They said my results wouldn't be updated till the next day, and that wasn't good, obviously. I was about to give birth, so I told her that. And then she's like, okay, I'm just going to keep trying to look. So she comes back a few minutes later with a group of 4 women. I think the same 4 women that she came in with. And they told Scotty to leave the room. They were like, could you please step out for a moment? And I'm thinking like, okay, that's weird, but maybe they're just going to ask me like personal questions like about sex and stuff like that. So I didn't think anything of it. I just found it a little weird, but I didn't really think anything of it. Then they all sit down. And I'm just sitting in my bed. Feeling much better, obviously, because I'm not in pain. And then the one that asked me for the medical record, she started speaking. And she was like, okay, so we have your blood work from March, I think March 17th, something like that, March something, from your OB, and your HIV results came out negative. Now, with the rapid test, we had to count on the rapid blood test for you since we don't have your recent blood work. Your HIV results, I'm sorry to say, came out positive. Do you guys know how that made me feel? One moment I was so happy that I was just gonna, give birth really soon without any pain because I already had an epidural. I was fine. And then to hear this woman tell me that I was HIV positive, it was horrible. So like any other person would react, I started to cry. And I was like, okay, so now what? Thinking of my baby. I'm thinking something's gonna happen to my baby. I'm not gonna be able to give birth. She's not gonna be okay. Sorry. So, she was like, you can still give birth through C-section since that's what you wanted in the beginning, since it's safer for the baby when a person is infected with HIV. But it's your decision. You get to decide if you want to give birth naturally still or you want the C-section that you planned in the first place. So they put me in a position where I didn't know what to do. And I'm thinking of my baby and my mind is just, like, my head is spinning. I'm just like, how? I just got blood work done, and the lady literally told me like a week before this date that I was actually on the Friday that I went to my OB. She said, you're HIV negative, everything's good, like, So how is it that out of nowhere I am positive for HIV? So of course I'm thinking he fucking cheated on me. He cheated on me. He slept with someone. He got infected from her and infected me. And I was just thinking of my baby and the fact that I was giving birth to his baby and he cheated on me. So they were like, I'm so sorry, and this and this and that. But sometimes this happens, a lot of times in this hospital, that happens to a lot of women. The blood work that we take here, the rapid test, since it's a rapid test, it gives a false positive. So I'm already like, what the hell? Like, you're telling me I'm HIV positive, but you're not sure about it, basically, you're saying. So now I'm like questioning whether I'm HIV positive or not. Like, what kind of shit is that? I should not be experiencing that right before I'm about to give birth. She's like, okay, so, once, they left me with me having to make a decision. And she said, I'm going to give you 15 minutes. She literally told me, I'm going to give you 15 minutes to make a decision. I'm going to come back to see if you want to have a C-section or if you want to still give birth naturally. He came back in the room, and as you can assume, I was pissed off. I was still crying, and he saw that I was going like crazy, and he asked me what was wrong. I said, get away from me, like, don't talk to me. And he saw that I was texting my mom, and I texted my mom. And I said, please pray for me because they just told me I'm HIV positive. And he saw that. He's like, no way. There is no way in hell that you're HIV positive. That is BS. Like, he freaked out. He was like, that's BS. I've never slept with anyone other than you. Like, I've not cheated on you. I do not have that. You do not have that. You're good. Like, you shouldn't be worrying. You're good. So my mom called me. Obviously, she was freaking out, and she said the same thing. She was like, Yesenia, trust me. You're clean. You do not have anything. That has to be a false positive because I told her that the lady told me that. She's like, that has to be a false positive. Please just try to stay, like, calm, and for your baby, it's not good for you to, like, get stressed. So I tried to remain calm, and I tried to, like, put that in the back of my head, but I still had this decision to make. And she's like, I'm with you for anything, like, whether you want a C-section, that's your choice. If you want a C-section or if you want to give birth naturally, that's your decision at the end of the day. So when she came back, exactly like 15 minutes later, or probably less than that, she had my OB on the phone. And she was like, hi, Yesenia. She's like, listen, I'm really sorry. But yeah, when you came in last time we had your blood work from March, it came out negative. You were clean. I'm pretty sure you're fine. This happens 99.9% of the time to women where they give a false positive. And I'm just like, She's like, but still, you need to make the decision just in case. Like, what do you want? I'll support you either way. We can do the cesarean, I'll perform it, or we can do, you can give birth naturally. So me thinking like any real mother would, I went and said, I'm gonna still have the C-section, because I'm not gonna risk, God forbid, if I really have that and that, my baby gets that, I will never forgive myself for choosing a regular birth over the C-section just because I didn't want to feel more pain. So I went with the C-section. I said, you know what, I'm going to do the C-section. She was like, okay. I'm almost like getting there to New York. So once I land, I'm going to go sleep for 1 hour. She told the nurses, I'm going to sleep for 1 hour at least. And I'm going to come in around 2 or 3 in the morning to perform her C-section. So that's it. It was scheduled. I had to sign papers. That I was getting a C-section and things could happen and this and this and that. I didn't even read through it. I just signed. Like, they didn't make me read anyway. So as we waited in the room, he ended up falling asleep, but we didn't talk at all. We were very just, especially me, I was just going crazy and I didn't want to talk to him. I was just watching TV, trying to get my mind off of it. This lady came in to check up on me. Meanwhile, I had like this IV, I had other things, I don't even remember. I was on a bunch of medication, like drugs, so I kind of felt like, out of it. And then I had this news that I was HIV positive. I had the oxygen mask on me, which I didn't mind because it actually made me breathe better. I probably would have like had a heart attack, God forbid, if, once they came in and I didn't have that on me, I probably would have lost like my breath. So luckily I did have that oxygen mask on, because I do suffer from anxiety and panic attacks. So God knows what would have happened, could have been worse. So that lady was pretty much monitoring, she was pretty much monitoring, she was pretty much monitoring, I can't say that word, she was pretty much looking after me the time that I was waiting for my C-section. So once I was getting closer to that time, it was like 2 something in the morning, it was already Sunday, Easter. They brought in like the gown for Scotty to wear and the hat, like the thing for his feet. And then they brought like the hat for me, and he made sure to bring all of our stuff, because we were moving to a new room, obviously, since I was having a C-section, so I had to go to a surgery room. So around 2:40ish, they started moving me around to the other room. I think it was like on another floor. I don't even remember these things, guys, because again, I was kind of traumatized, and at the same time I was excited and nervous because I was about to meet my baby. So, like, I try to just focus on that. Like, I'm going to meet my baby. That's all that matters. I'm not going to let anything, like, whether he cheated on me or not, whether I have HIV or not. Like, I'm just going to focus on my baby right now, because this is what I've been waiting for. This is the moment I've been waiting for. So, I was pretty calm. Thank God. Like, thank God that he kept me calm through this, because I don't know. If God wasn't by my side, I probably would have lost it, Like I said, I do suffer from panic attacks, so I probably would have fainted or something. Who knows? So, once they were dragging me in the room, he stayed outside because they told him to stay outside because they needed to prep me. And he said, I love you, good luck. He thought he wouldn't be able to come in, but I was like, they're going to let you in. That was like the last thing I said to him. So they started prepping me, numbing me and all this. It took about maybe like 15 minutes. And then once I guess I was ready, like she was ready to perform the cesarean, they brought him in, but I had no idea he was in there. He was literally right behind me, and I didn't know till later on, like till I turned. Actually, when the baby was born, that's when I looked at him, and I was like, what the hell, he was here the whole time? So I was really scared during the C-section, even though I was very calm, because one of the nurses told me, you might want to throw up, and you guys know that I have a phobia with vomiting. So she said, a lot of women throw up when they have C-sections. I'm like, great, just keep adding to the list. I'm already fucked in the mind, like just keep adding, And I told my OB, I said, I'm really scared because I might throw up. I have a fear of vomiting. She's like, don't worry, that's normal. It happens to a lot of people. And I'm just like freaking out, like what if I vomit? And I'm literally laying flat. I'm going to choke on my vomit. Like there's no person to have a bucket near me. Like there was literally no person standing next to me with a bucket just in case I throw up. So I'm like, what if I throw up on you, Okay, so as I'm lying there and they're already almost near, and it's already near the time for the baby to be born, it was almost 3 a.m. and one of the doctors in there was kind of like reciting everything, like, okay, so this patient is in here having a C-section because she could be positive for HIV. It's just so messed up that I was pretty much treated like an HIV patient this whole time. And it just ruined my entire like experience for having my first kid. You know what I mean? But yeah, they said that. And skipping everything else, thank God the C-section went really well. I did feel like a big wave. That's what they said you feel when you have a C-section, and that's around the time where you start to vomit. But thank God I concentrated and just didn't think about anything. I kind of like gazed at something in that room and kept my eyes on that, and didn't move my eyes at all, and just pray to God, like, please don't let me vomit. I'm good. I'm gonna meet my baby. That's all that matters. I was just paying attention to not throwing up. That was like my only concern, and that my baby was fine. So once the lady was like, the OB, my OB, she was performing my surgery, she was like, we have a beautiful baby girl here. And I was just so excited when I heard those words, and then I heard my baby's cry for the first time. I was like, eh. And I was like, oh my God, that's my baby. And my eyes got watery because I was just so emotional. You know, my baby was here and she was fine. She was healthy, and that's all that mattered. One of the doctors took her and I guess cut her umbilical cord. So he didn't get to do that. I guess when you have a C-section, the dad doesn't do that, which is, I feel like they should be able to do that still. I don't know. But he handed the baby to Scotty, and he held her for the first time. He was the one that held her first, since I was, you know, getting closed up. It took a while. I couldn't really see since he was behind me, so I was just like that, like trying to see. So I saw her little arms and stuff, but I didn't see her face. So once they closed me up, one of the nurses grabbed the baby and she gave her to me as they were rolling me out of the room. And as soon as I as soon as I looked into my baby's eyes, like, I fell in love. She was just so beautiful, and I couldn't believe she was mine. I was so happy that, like, everything that I experienced, kind of like, I forgot about it in that moment. She's the one that mattered. They put us like in this room where they would weigh her and stuff, so they took her to weigh her. Just everything that they needed to check for a newborn, measuring her, all of that. So I was just there in a little room with him and the baby. I was holding her. And so yeah, he took pictures of the baby and sent it to my mom, and she showed my family and stuff, and I'm pretty sure he showed his family. And I was just like in love staring at her. She was just so beautiful. Like, how could you not? And then he held her again. You know where they usually do like the whole, like, you have to be skin to skin with the baby? They didn't really do that. I mean, I had my robe on, so like I kind of just moved it a little bit down and I placed her on me, but I didn't get completely like naked here. I thought they would do that to me, but they didn't tell me that. I don't know, because that's like a special part when a baby's born. It's like a bonding thing. But I don't know. It doesn't really matter anyways. Yeah, guys, they checked her, you know, procedure stuff. They kept us in there for a few, and then they ended up moving us to another room. And I didn't mention this before. It's like so much in here. I'm sorry if I'm like all over the place, but they had mentioned that they should give the baby medication because of this HIV thing, and me medication. So of course I agreed with it. You know, I'm not a doctor. I'm assuming the doctor knows best. So I agreed for that to to happen, for my baby and I to receive HIV medication. So they gave me that, and I'm guessing when they took her, during that time that they were checking her, they gave it to her. So they probably gave her, like, they didn't give the medication in front of me is what I'm trying to say. They took her, I don't know what they did, like, you know what I mean? So yes, my baby received HIV medication. I don't remember the name right now, but I received it as well. And yeah. Since this rapid test took a couple days to actually receive like the accurate results, we ended up waiting all the way till Tuesday. So I gave birth Sunday at 3 a.m. Easter, 4/4. My baby was born at 6 pounds, 10 ounces. I went through so much, guys, even right after like giving birth. Obviously, I was numb that entire night. I didn't really feel anything, but I couldn't get out of bed. I was in bed the whole night. Pretty much the whole day, like Easter, I was in bed. And then the next day, they made me get up. I didn't really get much help to like walk around. I thought they would walk me around the hospital, even though that's good that they didn't, because I probably would have fainted or something, like from not having enough energy. But I walked around my room. I did everything pretty much on my own. I even showered by myself. Like no one was there to shower, like to help me get in the shower. I did it all alone. I mean, I'm pretty sure if I would have asked for help, they would have come. But I decided to shower on my own. I used the bathroom on my own. I did everything on my own, basically. And I was walking, and I was just trying to, to get myself to heal faster. But I wasn't really feeling the pain because I was so like drugged up, I guess, like the ibuprofen and this and this and that. They put me on a stool softener, like just a bunch of medication they give me, and it's like ridiculous. Half the time I would like not take it because I wasn't eating. I was not eating. I do not eat hospital food. I tried. It was disgusting. I couldn't. And we ended up ordering twice from Uber Eats, but then I would not feel good from the food. So like I wouldn't really eat throughout the day. So yeah, I was taking all this medication. I felt so drugged up, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna take it every time they bring it to me. They brought it like every 6 hours or less than that, and it was just ridiculous. Like I know they want me to not feel pain. I pretty much took the pain ones all the time, but there were times that I would kind of sneak it. And then the stool softeners, I took it once, but after that, I did not take it anymore. I did not want to take that anymore. And they gave me something for like gas. This is like the stuff they give you when you give birth. So a lot of the times I slipped the pills somewhere. I did not want to take them because I just did not have anything in my stomach. And when you don't have anything in your stomach, all these drugs, they're gonna make you want to throw up. And I'm afraid of that. Like I did not throw up my whole pregnancy or during the C-section. I was not gonna vomit after giving birth. So a lot of the times I did not take those pills. But of course, I started feeling the pain even more, like the soreness there, and it was difficult to walk. So I made sure to always take my painkillers. But like I said, I did everything on my own. I showered, I changed the baby. Of course, he helped as well. We took like turns and stuff. But let me mention that I did not sleep. So I was in there from Sunday to Wednesday. So I did not sleep all of those days. And I did not sleep Friday night. And Saturday night. So imagine all of those days of not sleeping. I probably in total literally in total, maybe like 3 hours of sleep. And I'm not even joking. Maybe like 3 hours of sleep. I felt very like I needed to be awake for my baby. And for some reason, I couldn't fall asleep. He took like naps, and he also slept. But I couldn't sleep at all. Like I just couldn't sleep. It was just something in me that I wouldn't be able to sleep. But like a total of 3 hours from all those days that I was in the hospital. It was horrible. It was very hard. I went through, of course, pain. I had a lot of like anxiety, and I was starting to get depressed, which is the postpartum depression. I was already getting it. And it's just like normal things of becoming a new mother. I was just feeling a lot of emotions. I wanted to come home already. I didn't want to keep being in there. Luckily, we had our room to ourselves, I guess because of COVID. But there was one time where a nurse came in. She's like, it's possible that you can have somebody in here, so please do not step into like this room. Like, don't put anything on this bed. Like, very rude. Again, most of the staff was really nice. Like, I would click this certain button on the remote, and they would always come to my attention. Like whenever I needed more bottles for the baby, they would bring it, like the milk that they give you from the hospital. They would bring the diapers and stuff, like everything. They were very attentive, but there were certain nurses that I'm pointing out that were really rude. So I wish I knew their names, but I do not, unfortunately. I didn't think of anything like that. It was my first time going through all this, and I had so much on me. I was also trying to vlog for you guys, and unfortunately I couldn't get like videos when I was actually giving birth because it was a surgery, so I couldn't record in there, or he couldn't record. So it was just a lot going on, guys. I had like my mind in so many places. Like, I'm thinking about this HIV thing. I'm thinking about, like, what if I'm not a good mother? Like, I'm not doing this right. I can't sleep. I hadn't slept. I didn't eat good. I wasn't drinking, like hydrating. They were trying to make me drink water, so like I would take a few sips here and there. And then I had to do that that thing where you breathe in and out, like to get my lungs to open, like it's not close up after a surgery. That can happen. So I was doing just so much, and like focusing on the baby, and then like trying to talk to him and trying to think that he didn't cheat on me, and just so much. I can't even explain to you guys like what I was feeling this entire time that I was there. Just really like nauseous and dizzy. Like, I thought I was gonna faint at one point. He even saw me like get like really like weak. It was horrible. Okay, it was pretty horrible. I just went through a lot and I wanted to go home. So a couple days go by, well, 2 days go by, and Tuesday morning, it was really early, one of the nurses, she was really nice, she came to me, and she was the one like attending me during those hours. It was her shift. She was like, we're not going to need to give your baby any more medication because you're HIV negative. Of course, I was so happy, but so angry at the same time that this hospital made me believe for pretty much 3 days that I was HIV positive, and that he had cheated on me, and worrying about my child not coming out right, like not coming out healthy. I thought my life was over. Like, I literally thought my life was over. I was like, this is it. Like, this is the news that topped everything off. Like, I'm gonna die soon. Like, I was just thinking so many things, and when I received the news that I was good, I thanked God. I was so happy. I texted my mom. She was like, I knew it. Thank God. She went to church and prayed and cried. But it's just, what I'm trying to say is that it's really messed up what this hospital did to us. It's just literally so messed up that this hospital had us believe that I was HIV positive. Just thinking about it, like, I don't wish that on anyone, and I never would want that to happen to me again, because it was just so traumatic. And even talking about my experience, as you can see, I'm getting emotional. It's really hard, and I think about it all the time, and I'm just like, wow, that's really messed up. My first baby, and this is what I experienced. I thought I was HIV positive. They treated me like a HIV patient, so all the nurses knew. I'm not gonna say knew because I came out negative, but they assumed that I was positive. And then they probably assumed that he gave it to me. So that was just, I don't know, it felt really bad. You know, it was wrong, and it was not a good feeling. Apart from everything I was feeling and all the emotions I was going through, it was really bad. But yeah, all that matters is that I'm fine. My baby's fine. We're both okay. We are not HIV positive. It's like I knew in my head that I was clean, but you still have that little doubt, you know? But yeah, when he told me that he was clean and he didn't cheat on me, I believed him. So I had like hope, but still, like, you still, you know, it's just a human nature thing to think like, what if I still, you know, like I still possibly have it. But yeah, guys, I ended up going home. I was discharged Wednesday, and my parents picked us up. We came home, and I'm gonna do a video about, that's a whole nother video about my whole experience being home. So like postpartum, basically everything I felt, what I was going through. I'm gonna do a separate video for that because this video is long enough. I feel like I've been here for like an hour recording. I just wanted to give you my experience, like, of what happened in the hospital. So outside the hospital, that's a different story. It's a new video. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything, because there's just so much that happened. apart from everything, like I had like this needle in me for all those days and it felt so uncomfortable. It was like stabbing me. I had the IVs and they kept like checking for like taking my temperature, obviously checking the baby every time. It was just all very like, you know, I was just all over the place and I can't even explain it. I'm probably seeming dramatic, but I don't remember a lot of stuff also because maybe it was that traumatic or maybe because it was just so much happening. But yeah, guys, that was like the main thing that I wanted to speak about, the fact that they told me I was HIV positive. I wish there was something I can do about this, but I feel like this has happened to so many people that I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. So yeah, I just have to live with it, and as long as I'm fine and my baby's fine, like everyone's good, like that's all that matters. But I just want to say, if you stuck around to the very end of this video, thank you so much for hearing me out. I just needed to let this out and it felt good to let it out. But if you enjoyed it, definitely give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment, share, and also to subscribe to my channel. I love you guys so much. Bye.